In the city of New York, the police find an abandoned bag in the middle of the road, where they think it's a ticking bomb. A young woman with many tattoos on her body is found therein. The federal agency finds Agent Weller's name tattooed on her back, and they call him to investigate the case. Upon examining her, they conclude that she has been injected with a specific substance that led to her permanent memory loss. Weller and his team call the mysterious woman Jane, whose case has developed through the process of untangling the tattoo stories, one by one. They take photos of the tattoos and find that they are graphics, numbers, and letters. Jane notices that there is a certain tattoo behind her ear. It's in Chinese and specifies a date and the address of a Chinese young man whose name is Chow. When Weller's team reaches the address, they don't find Chow, however. They discover that he can create plastic explosives and that he wants to destroy a crowded place, the train station. Weller succeeds in throwing the bomb away from the train, but Chow escapes, heading to the Statue of Liberty with a sinister intention of blowing it up. Nevertheless, his plan fails, and he is taken to the hospital. The team receives news of Chow's death. When Weller checks the security cameras, he notices a person leaving Chow's room at the same time as his death. The team carries on decoding the cryptic messages behind the tattoos, from Jacob's attempts of revenge to the jewelry shop's burglars. They surmise that the person who drew these enigmatic tattoos intends to help them out. Weller suspects that once his neighbor, who was called Taylor, is Jane, especially since he resembles the laceration on Jane's back with the one that was on Taylor's. Hence, Bethany decides to run a DNA test of Jane. In the middle of the night, a man called Marcos breaks into Jane's house. He tells Jane that he is her partner in the mission and that he would like to protect her. But someone shoots him dead from the outside. This man, Marcos, is the same who assumed the role of the doctor and killed Chow. Observing her exceptional abilities, Bethany decides to include Jane in the team. At the same time, Weller rejoices at the result of the DNA test of Jane and Taylor. Bethany meets Tom, Deputy Director of Central Intelligence. They share a secret from the past. Their secret is in danger of being exposed. The number of the federal case they're hiding is one of Jane's tattoos. Meanwhile, Patterson deciphers one of the tattoos, a logo for the Center for Disease Control. Upon their arrival at the center, one of the staff takes the team for the sterilization procedure through ultraviolet rays. Hence, a new tattoo appears on Jane's face, the number of samples for incurable infectious diseases, but they don't find the samples at their usual place. The unanticipated brief time comes when a status emergency is declared. Entrances and exits of the laboratory are shut down to only find that the lab director, Rebecca, is the one who stole the samples to spread a new epidemic in the world. She takes her life and her husband's, but leaves behind a hint about the time of the explosion that the team finds out. A man comes to defuse the bomb, but Weller discovers that he is Rebecca's partner. And with Jane, he knocks him down unconscious. Then a bomb disposal technician nullifies the effect of the hazardous sample. At the office, Patterson takes Weller aside and tells him that she has run a test on Jane's tooth, which was found at the place where they were fighting the man. And upon the analysis, she discovered traces of specific elements that can be found in the people who are born and live in Africa, which means that she is not Taylor. In this way, the result of the DNA test of Jane doesn't match with the analysis of her tooth test result. Weller becomes bewildered, but deep inside, he feels that Jane and Taylor are the same person. At Weller's home, everyone talks about Taylor, but Jane can't stand that, as she doesn't recall anything about Taylor. Back to Jane's case, a new tattoo is linked to the Municipal Workers Building postal code, which is currently under attack. Two armed men who were unjustly expelled from their jobs have specific demands in return for the hostages. But the team concludes that they have a different axe to grind. They rescue the hostages and take the armed men down. The team discovers that the armed men replaced one of the hostages' bodies with a man of the intelligence under Tom's supervision. Then the members of the Federal Bureau and members of the intelligence start finding this spy because he has a nuclear bomb. Luckily, they arrest him and disable the bomb. In the night, Tom meets Tasha and bribes her by paying her debts in exchange for Jane's file. Jane and Weller get notifications from the office that they should only focus on solving the cases. They grow cold with each other. On the same day, the convoy of a Saudi prince was attacked because the attackers could locate his convoy through an app. The team learns that it identifies any police car and that the logo of the application is on Jane's leg. They figure out that it's their case to solve. Patterson finds out that the owner of this application has participated in a competition for professional programmers, a teenager whose name is Anna. After taking her to the office for the interrogation, she tells them that she works for a policeman named Leonard. They find that there is no one with that name in the office and that the teenager has been deceived. Anna decides to help, but she cannot stop the application because the only person who has the power to access the application is a person whose name is seen. Eventually, they arrest him. The government stops the application, and Jane thanks Anna for her cooperation in this case. Upon returning home, Anna is ambushed by men who want her to reactivate the application because they want to locate a car that transports weapons belonging to the police. Anna sends a distress message to Patterson, and the intelligence team hacks the laptop cameras. But when they reach the place, they don't find her. However, Anna has left the number of their car plate to track them down. After a confrontation with the men, our team rescues Anna and accomplishes a victory. They take Anna and examine her to verify that she is well. Anna notices a certain tattoo of a black square on Jane's arm and says that this is a symbol of steganography. Underneath that tattoo, Patterson finds another hidden tattoo. The team realizes that one of the tattoos on Jane's body is the case file number for a man named Saul. Weller inquires about it. Bethany tells him that Saul was a secret informant agent who helped the Federal Bureau in many cases, but he became against them and disappeared. Patterson messages her that she has found a new tattoo leads to a distinctive mark of Brooklyn. Despite Bethany's warning that this city is full of troubles, the team decides to go. The director of the police station there refuses to cooperate with them. They arrive at an isolated house and learn that the owner of the house is Saul from the federal office case. Saul is the second most wanted by the FBI. The team notices that someone has sabotaged the car's tires and stolen weapons from it. They also notice that someone hacked the internet network and jammed it, preventing them from reaching the police. The team begins to search for a safe place to sleep. Then they see from afar towers like one of Jane's tattoos. There they find a box full of weapons and a bulletproof vest in a hideout under the ground. They also find a map showing a safe exit from this area. Weller makes a plan for them to disperse into two groups. Reed and Jane succeed in getting to the helicopter, and there they wait for the rest to join them, but no trace of them appears to them, so they decide to go back and search for them. Saul and his men start shooting at them. Hence, they hide themselves in a small house from the shooters, but Saul's men besiege them. Jane gets out of the house, and she is about to get herself killed. At this moment, Tasha and Weller come and help her. One of Saul's men tries to kill Tasha, but the director of the police office rescues her. On their way back, Jane pilots the helicopter as one of her many skills. The team returns along with Saul to the office. Bethany reprimands Patterson for involving her boyfriend, David, in solving the riddles of the tattoos. The intelligence will monitor David. During the interrogation, Weller notices that Bethany is speaking with Saul very calmly. He confronts her. Bethany tells him that she has been involved in a highly confidential case. 5 years ago, the intelligence wanted a woman named Sophia, who used to work as the political director at the White House. The American police were illegally monitoring the citizens' calls. Their pretext was to use the data to arrest terrorist elements, and because it was against U.S. law, they worked surreptitiously on the case. At first, Bethany didn't agree to participate, however, when she learned that the terrorists' elements posed a great threat to the security of the state. She got herself in. The intelligence decided to use Saul as a scapegoat from whom they would have the reach unto the confidential info. The case bred a scandalous outcome at which Sophia took her life. And the involved parties, including Bethany and Tom, felt the heaviness of remorse on their shoulders. Another case of extortion is under the investigation of the team. A football player files a case against a policeman who was blackmailing him, his silence in exchange for money. This case started with a strategy to pin hidden cameras in their clothes in a way to prove their stance against any complaints from the civilians. The team discovers that 2 police officers went out of hand. They hacked the system and stole the classified recordings of cameras. The team exposes the corrupted policeman. Bethany learns that the head of the police is involved in this case as well, under the pretext that they're doing it for the ultimate good. As a defense against an attempt to kill her, Bethany deliberately crashes her car into another one, which leads to the killing of the policeman. As for Tom, he asks Tasha to plant an eavesdropping device in her house and threatens her that if she does not do so, he will expose her. Back to Jane's case, the team finds a specific code that contains the address of a semi-abandoned house. They find the team chasing 2 Bulgarian assassins to kill a man called Robert. Robert was under the protection of the police, however. A large part of people's data has been leaked. The team finds party tickets, a bunch of forged passports, and a necklace as an exchange of data. Jane and Weller, impersonating the assassins, meet the hacker, whose name is Rich, at the party in exchange for the data. They pretend to be a married couple. The hacker takes away their mobile devices and weapons. Rich gives them the flash device in exchange for the necklace. In the meantime, his team checks whether the necklace is original or imitated. Weller and Jane learn that the hacker has deceived them and has sold the same data to someone else. But as usual, Weller and Jane succeed in taking Rich with them to the canter. For more than once, resolving the mystery of the tattoos has put David's life on the brink of death. But tonight, he faced death itself. At a library, David notices a lady who is holding a book and writing in it. That book has a significant role in solving one of the tattoos that he and Patterson took hold of its mystery, and he chases the woman. The next day, we learn that David has been killed. The team investigates David's murder. They find a trace of fingerprints in the book for a Russian man married to an American citizen. After a short scuffle, the man kills himself, but his wife, Kathy, might be the one who killed David. It is to conclude that the Russian intelligence recruits a number of its agents and plants them within the American society by marrying American citizens of influence. Hence, they transfer confidential data to their country. Solon, an agent from the counterespionage department, joins the team, and with her help, a spy named Olivia is arrested. At first, she refuses to answer them, but the team succeeds in pressuring her and making her confess. They learn that Kathy is charged with killing 2 of the most famous journalists known for attacking Russia in the press. Kathy is found in a large exhibition aboard a ship, and she takes her life. But Jane, Tom's target, is kidnapped and tortured by him. During the interrogation, an unknown man kills them all, including Tom. The man shows Jane a video she filmed in which she admits that she planned for the tattoo's riddles and memory loss, and that the man who shows her this video, Oscar, is her accomplice. Jane believes him when she sees the tree tattoo on his arm, which evokes memories in her mind. She was in a relationship with him, and they agreed to meet soon for more info and plans. The next day, Tasha intends to present her resignation, but as soon as she learns that Tom has disappeared, she retracts her decision. The tattoo's mystery takes the team to an abandoned warehouse in Turkey. There, they become surprised that a plane which had been reported missing a while ago is just standing still in front of their eyes. Not a long time has passed, and we see armed men storm in and tie them up. Is it a miracle that the passengers are alive? Nonetheless, the team recognized Susan, an aerospace engineer who was in Turkey at a conference and who had presented a research paper on miniature satellites. She said that they were kidnapped and forced to work nearby. They were forced to clone these mini satellites to disable the ones that belonged to the American Army. Tasha manages to send a distress signal through which she calls on Patterson to help them. The armed men decide to take down Weller on the television. But Jane, with the help of the team, succeeds in getting rid of the rest of the guard in the room. They took Susan to carry on the menacing plan of disabling the American satellites. Susan has been rescued, but she tells them that the disabling system of the satellites will start automatically when they are at a certain altitude point. They break into the cockpit and kill the pilots there. And with Patterson's help, they can land the plane safely. The mission is a success. Jane remembers a glimpse from her past, where it seems that she was undergoing harsh training in the Army, but she doesn't tell anyone about it. And when she meets Oscar, she asks him about the meaning of the word Orion. He tells her that this is the name of the operation that they are responsible for carrying out, but he is not authorized to tell her more about that. Another tattoo is undergoing investigation by the team, where a spy called Olivia is up to disclose the name of a high-profile official who was responsible for recruiting her, but her lawyer takes her aside and kills her. After a brief exchange of fire, the guard kills him. On the same day, Fisher, an agent from the Office of Professional Responsibility, arrives at the Federal. He has information that there is a Russian spy in the office who has ordered the killing of Olivia from a high-ranking position. Using the polygraph, he interrogates the staff in the office without exception. He notices that in the report of Bethany, Jane, and Tasha, they were nervous during the investigation. Upon suspecting that they are hiding something, he re-investigates each once again. Upon investigating Tasha once again, Fisher learns that someone has planted bugs in her house. Upon learning that she wasn't at her house at the time of Tom's murder, Fisher makes her a suspect in the case. On his behalf of helping Jane, Weller summons Sloan to the federal office and gets to know that he spies on the movements of all the officials at the Russian embassy. On eliciting the names of those officials, Weller is interrupted by Fisher's intruding. He shows Sloan a picture of Jane, and surprisingly, he recognizes her. Upon that, Jane is immediately arrested. However, Weller is still certain in his guts about Jane's innocence. He notices that as soon as Olivia is killed, Fisher arrives quickly, as if he knew about her murder. Hence, Weller suspects that Fisher is the spy. And that is true. Sloan's man admits that Fisher is a dangerous man and that he forced him to say what he said against Jane. The mission of rescuing Jane has commenced. Weller says out loud that Fisher is the spy, and he is the one who planned all this. Jane manages to shoot Fisher down and save herself. With Tasha, she is curious to know who planted the bugs in her house. There, she asks the one who planted at her house to introduce himself. Immediately, she gets a phone call from a man whose name is Matthew, an assistant to the U.S. attorney. He threatens Tasha that if she doesn't collaborate with him, he will reveal her secret. In decoding a new tattoo's message, Oscar delivers a specific street address to the team. The unsolved murder of a woman whose boyfriend is sentenced to death. The man used to deny the accusation, but currently, he does not utter a word to defend himself. After a thorough investigation, the team discovers that she had been kidnapped by a group that trafficked women for prostitution. So Tasha impersonates her personality. Weller and Reed get to know that she has been kidnapped. However, they lose tracing her. Stubborn to help their teammate, they locate her through the security cameras. Coming to her consciousness, Tasha finds herself in an abandoned place, and a woman next to her tells her that the landlord, whose name is Ted, comes daily along with his friends to choose the girls they want. Tasha battles with the brutal guards and manages to save all the tapped girls in the basement. At this time, Weller and Reed arrive at the place and kill the escaping members of the gang. Then they save Tasha, who has been caught in the middle of the flames. During the investigation of the madam who was supervising the girls, She admits that the murder of the girl was conducted by one of their clients and that they decided to blame her fiancé. Then the victimized fiancé is released after his innocence is confirmed. At nighttime, Jane meets Oscar and tells him that she does not want to carry on this mission, but Oscar warns her of what she wants because if she refuses to continue this mission, some people are willing to harm Weller. On his own, Reed searches the security camera footage to find out about Jane's whereabouts at the time when Tom was killed, but he's stopped by Oscar wearing a face mask. He threatens him that he better never reveal this secret to anyone, otherwise he will kill Sarah, Weller's sister, his girlfriend, and her son. And for that reason, Reed stops. The next day, a large painting of a flower is stolen from a painting gallery. The team finds out that Jane has the same drawing of the flower in one of her tattoos, so the team goes to the exhibition. Later, they discover that it was only a trap to drag them in. Weller is seriously injured, and the team concludes that Jane is targeted in this case. As usual, they commence the investigation without Weller this time, but they find the owner of the exhibition murdered. A sniper wants to kill Jane, who escapes from there, and they find no trace of Jane as well. Jane dodges the sniper and gets to meet Oscar to only know that their teammate is after her life. The team locates the sniper on the ship, but the events turn against them, and he locks them down in a room. As she tries to release the team, Jane encounters the sniper, but Oscar appears just in time and jumps off to the water with the killer before the team recognizes his face. In an escalation of the doubts against Jane, Bethany reprimands her for her sudden disappearance and for acting without permission from her. But Jane says that she only decided to clear her mind. It appears that Bethany is not convinced by what she says. In back-to-back events, Jane meets Oscar. There, she learns that the sniper wants to take revenge on Oscar by killing Jane because he knows that Oscar loves her. But we learn that the sniper is still alive and is coming after Jane to kill them both. The next day, news comes to the office about the theft of chemical weapons that belong to the American government, and that the U.S. government collects these weapons and gives them to a company that disposes them. An intensive investigation reveals that a general who owns the company stole the weapons and that he sold them to certain individuals in different countries for financial gain. The mission ends with destroying the chemical weapons and arresting the felon as well. On the same day, Weller gives Jane a chain as a birthday gift. This chain belongs to her mother, presuming that she is Taylor. Jane is moved deeply by the gesture and invites him to go out together, but Weller apologizes because he is now with his ex-girlfriend, Ellie. In a moving atmosphere, Patterson gets a call from a restaurant where she had to be with David, who had reserved a table to celebrate the year anniversary of their relationship. There, she imagines him sitting opposite her solving the crossword puzzle, but David left a solution to one of the tattoos in the crossword puzzle. Catching the lead and tracing it down until she finds an antique shop. The moment the shop owner knows that she belongs to the federal office, he kidnaps her and locks her down in his house. The office knows about her disappearance and realizes that she was working on a particular tattoo, and following the lead, they find the shop, but it is empty. After a thorough investigation, they know that the owner is a history teacher and that he has killed many of his students. And how has he managed to hide all his crimes so far? He has a senator brother who has the upper hand in helping him hide his crimes. Patterson was trapped in his house, but she succeeds in escaping from the basement. The brothers try hard to catch up with her in the forest. It's a teamwork which knows down 2 serial killers. That night, Weller meets with his family at the dinner table and finally agrees to forgive his father for what he thinks he had done with Taylor's disappearance all those years, and he apologizes for that. Back to Rich, the hacker who had the data of the people under the police protection. One day, he gets beaten by some of the prisoners. Upon that, he requests to meet Weller and Jane, and he offers them that he will hand over to them one of the most dangerous criminals in the world, whose name is Actor, in exchange for his collaboration with them. And because the police do not know what Actor looks like, they get along with his plan. Rich tells them that Actor is keen about arts and that he's searching for renowned artists' work that went missing a long time ago. He visits Actor's house under the pretext that they're going to deliver the paintings. We get to know that he keeps the paintings at his house where a strict security system is installed. With the help of Rich, the team takes the paintings back. But on their way out, the owner of the place arrives. Although they manage to kill him, one of the paintings gets a big scratch. They search for a painting restorer. They wanted to deal with the problem as quickly as possible. Rich suggests one of the men he knows well, and this man restores the painting. In a short time, the painting will be ready for delivery. The team decides that Rich and Jane are the ones who deliver the painting and that the rest of the team watches over the place from the outside. At the party, they meet Akhtar, who inquires about the painting. And when he discovers that it is forged, Akhtar takes them to the roof of the house to take their lives. But Jane fights him until he faints on the floor. The team storms into the place, but they discover that Rich deceived them all. With a parachute, he descends far away and then escapes with the painting restorer, who is his friend. An utter fiasco in which they learn that they have the forged painting and Rich escaped with the original one. Bethany becomes astonished knowing that Sophia is still alive. She intended to falsify the news of her suicide to travel far away. She asks Bethany for a sum of money because now her secret is rampant and she only wants to survive away from the people. Bethany had been feeling a pang of sadness when she found out that Sophia had killed herself, and she couldn't pass over her death news. That's why she agrees to help her out. Back to the team when they catch a thread that leads them to a teen football player who has been rejected because of his addiction to drugs. They decide to see him at the university when they see a group of armed men. The team manages to evacuate the place and catches the gunman to only know that one of them is the same player who was rejected by his team. The story of the young man begins with the coach. He was harassing the students. The administration rejected his complaints, claiming that he was drinking too much and that he was also using drugs. At this critical time, Weller shoots the student before he kills Reed. Upon the investigation, they knew that the university administration knew what was happening, but they were overlooking what the coach used to do with his students. This is because the sports team is an essential part of the university's income. The team finds a little girl lost in the street. The federal office detains her and investigates her story, and they find her a sketchbook of drawings similar to the tattoos on Jane's body. The child suffers from autism and refuses to speak completely. They discover that this little girl, whose name is Maya, is the daughter of the leader of a criminal organization in the Middle East. A new search for the child's family. They learn that she arrived with her mother in America 1 day ago. But the mother is killed, presumably because she wanted to expose her husband's hidden agenda. Then the assistant of the foreign minister arrives and accuses the federal office of negligence in their work and that they have put the girl's life in danger. That's why he wants to take her with him. The little girl, having a photographic memory, shows the teen one of her drawings of the hand of this same man with a ring on his finger, which indicates that she had seen him before. The man gets nervous and raises the gun on Robert, but they arrest him. Then they knew that he was financing the terrorist organization and that he was afraid that the girl would expose him, so he sent the armed men to kill her. The little girl's grandmother came to take her grandchild. She recently had arrived from Germany. On the same day, Bethany meets a friend of hers, whose name is Alexandra. And when her friend gets killed, she gets a phone call warning her not to look into Tom's case, and because of what happened, Bethany's case is being investigated, and the one who is holding this investigation is Matthew. On the same day, Sarah meets with Weller in the office for an appointment with the family's lawyer. After a while, Weller leaves his sister Sarah with the lawyer, going to his session with the office's psychiatrist, Dr. Robert. After a while, Sarah bumps into Reed at the lift. Suddenly, something unexpected happens, and a state of emergency is declared as part of the emergency system testing, and everyone gets trapped at their place. But Patterson discovers that the system is being hacked and that there is someone in the building trying to steal all the information they have, and then she and Jane can reach Weller and Robert. While the team is chasing him, the young man can escape, but his girlfriend is dead. The young man threatens everyone that he will destroy all the wires that control the elevators in the building. By using a long rope, Weller rescues those who are trapped in the elevator, and the young man is shot down. On the same day, Bethany is arrested on charges of killing her friend. Matthew investigates her. He also charges her with the murder of Saul and Tom. As for Jane, she remembers everything that Oscar wanted her to do. All her suspicions are confirmed when she finds Sophia there. As the plot unfolds, we know that Sophia and Oscar know each other. Jane recalls the memories of her past. Oscar and Sophia try to calm Jane down, who feels remorseful because she feels that she betrayed Weller and his team. 2 weeks pass, and Bethany is dismissed from her position at the office. She is released under a conditional dismissal. Weller visits her in case she needs anything since she cannot go out much. During her prison time, another person in the office represents her duties. One day, Patterson gathers the team and tells them they have found a newborn girl who has been found in a bag in the street, and that the tattoo on her little hand resembles the tattoo on Jane's hand. After the DNA test, they find the identity of her father, Bryce, and that she is the granddaughter of a former Republican candidate. At the father's house, they find out that he has a son and that his life is stable. He denies that he has other kids or that he has been involved in any kind of illegal relationship with anyone. The team summons the mother, who confesses everything. We know that their son has leukemia, that he needs a marrow transplant from now and then, and that it must be from a person who closely matches him in DNA. The parents feared that they would give birth to another child with the same disease, and here the grandfather enlists them in a modern medical program by extracting samples of the cells from the parents and developing them until they grow into a baby. But this project was postponed. They intend to transfer the marrow from this baby to their son, and the mother gives them the address where the operation will be performed. The team concludes that the grandfather will kidnap the child from the place where the mother stays. Jane learns that the child is being kept in a service center, but the grandfather discerns that she's coming for the little girl. He takes her away and runs. The team arrives at the place and tries to catch up with the grandfather before he runs far with the baby, and they arrest him. On a red letter day for Weller, he's assigned as a vice president of the office. As for Jane, she hands over the badge and weapon and then departs the building. Bethany decides to take revenge on the person who did this to her. She sends the blurry photos of Oscar to someone who clarifies his features. After much thought, she concludes that Sophia and Oscar are the ones who did this to her. She can reach Sophia's new number and then communicate with Reed and Tasha and ask them to illegally specify the last place from which this number was used. She reaches Oscar's basement when at the same time, by chance, Jane arrives there to meet Oscar. Bethany accuses Jane of helping Oscar against her. At this time, Oscar arrives and attacks Bethany, and he hides the body. Father and son scene, where Weller's father apologizes to his son and admits that he took Taylor's life and buried her at their old home. Weller and Sarah go to the old home and find that she was buried there and that Jane deceived all of them. On the next day, Bethany is reported missing and the police start searching for her. To clean her plate of murdering Bethany, Jane must find Oscar, who disappears after hiding Bethany's body. But she gets to reach Shepard's number, a man that Oscar used to get the instruction from. She seeks the help of Anna to know his address. Then she goes there and tells him that a sniper is after her and that she is afraid for Oscar and wants to warn him. But Shepard refuses to give her Oscar's address. Despite that, Jane reaches to him with Anna's help. She arrives at Oscar's address and wants to kill him because she now does not trust him at all. The surprise is that Oscar finds her before she finds him. They fight, but under the constant beats, Jane faints away. When she regains consciousness, Jane notices that Oscar wants to inject her with the same substance he injected her before losing her memory, and this is because many things happened other than what they agreed upon. He tells her that she is not Taylor, and that they were able to falsify the DNA result of hers. All this to be close to Weller, and from the beginning they wanted him to be in Bethany's place. Jane is shocked when she learns that Shepard is their leader, and that Marcos made a mistake by photographing him. That's why Shepard ordered Oscar to kill him. He tells her that this time he will inject her with a dose higher than the last time. But Jane manages at the last moment to untie herself and stabs Oscar to death. Then she burns the cottage and escapes from there, leaving a note behind her for the sniper that she did this to revenge for Marcos. For the federal team, they decide that they are going to find Bethany by themselves. They find the address where blood traces are scattered all over the floor. When they run the blood test, they found that it was Bethany's blood. Then they decide to break into her house and find any evidence that shows who has done this to her. And they find a flash device in the safe. They find out about a project under Orion's name. So they realize that Bethany left this flash for them to take as their lead. Jane goes back home and finds Weller waiting for her. Then he puts her under arrest after knowing that she was deceiving him all the time, and he holds her responsible for making him reconcile with his father, although he had killed an innocent little girl. Jane has been arrested, and her investigation opens more mysterious doors.